What's going on, YouTube fam? It is Mr. Wonderful here with your Solo, a Star Wars story meatball movie review, and gonna dive into this film right off the bat. I gotta say, I had very low expectations going into this movie, and I walked away a little impressed by it. I mean, I don't know if my expectations were low, and I think they have everything to do with knowing a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. We know all the drama that went into making this movie. The acting coach for Alden Ehrenreich, Tim Miller and Phil Lord departure from the movie after already starting it, Ron Howard coming in, reshooting about 80% of this film. And I gotta say, for all the drama that goes on behind it, the film does a good job at being what the film, I guess what their intention is behind it, which is this is a good summer blockbuster. This film succeeds at its popcorn movie status. Uh, it's a lot more lighthearted than you would expect, considering the Lord and Miller departures. Because I know that they had a lot of light, a lot of humor, but it had some really good humor to it. It had a little lightheartedness to it as well that really worked very much in its favor. Gotta say, though, it does take some time for this movie to kind of get going from the first act into the second act. And once you start getting a lot more of the side characters, Woody Harrelson comes along, and then eventually Lando Calrissian comes along, and Donald Glover, and with that, L3 as well. Uh, that's where the film really starts to pick up. It's kind of come that second act, and then really come the third act. That's when Alden Ehrenreich really steps into the Han Solo role. He does a really good job at that point, and by that point, you are, for any purist out there of how could you do this and not have Harrison Ford, it really works. He does not do a bad job throughout the course of this film, but you can tell that there is some weirdness to this film and that there's a lot of jumbling around to it, and that's kind of leading me into a lot of what the negative is about this film. Oh, and before I do get into the negative and the jumbleness of the movie and that feel, I got to give a big shout out. Lando Calrissian steals this film for the little amount that he is really involved in the telling of this story. Because I feel like he's not, you get the sense that he's very much involved, and he's there, but it's not his movie, so his movie will be coming, though. I guarantee by the end of this weekend, his movie is coming, but Lando does, he just steals this film. He does a great job at stealing this film, but jumping into the negatives of this movie, because there are some things about this movie that don't work, and it is that feeling of, from the first act to the second act to the third act, this film feels jumbled at times. It feels very much, you can tell that 80% of this movie has been reshot. You can tell that it feels as if at times they're kind of piecing it together while it's happening, type deal, and it takes you out of the movie for a little bit, and at times just that inconsistency and that feeling that it just doesn't feel like a fully cohesive piece. It's there. It's evident. It is very evident, and you will feel it, especially as the movie drags along, because the 2 hour plus runtime doesn't help this movie, because it has a lot of down moments where you start realizing, and that's where the flaws start really sticking out, and you start going, where are we really going with this? Because you do get a lot of action. There's a ton of action, and the action is done well. Ron Howard, he gets that. He knows how to do that. He's very good at storytelling, and Ron Howard definitely helps this movie a lot as the director, and the way that he's able to craft the story, direct it, and make it come to life. But I gotta say, even with the action sequences, there's a lot of action but no consequences, and just no, the one true consequence that comes from any of the action. It's kind of I've already seen it before. It's been done. It wasn't really anything surprising, and that's another thing. A lot of the twists and turns and surprises, you can see them coming from a mile away. You can see where the story is going, for as jumbled as it is at times and as incoherent as it is at times. None of the twists that they're giving to you are anything special or anything you haven't seen in any other Star Wars film or just any other movie to begin with. Uh, the story is driven by two main heists, which is where a lot of the action plays into this. And okay, they work for what they are and what this film is, which is it's perfect for the Memorial Day weekend. It's perfect as a summer blockbuster. But that's kind of what you're getting. You're getting a movie that is billed to you as Solo, and this is Han Solo's movie, and this is part one of, this just the first of these films, because, this is not a spoiler or anything like that. It is very evident, and it was evident beforehand, and plus Alden kind of let it slip out of the bag that he signed on for a 3-film deal, so it's clear that there's going to be another film following this, so it is not a spoiler at any kind with that. But it just, for it being his film though, the fact that you have Lando Calrissian stealing the show, Donald Glover, in the little amount of time that he gets in this 2-hour plus long movie, and Kira, Amelia Clarke from Game of Thrones, she is one of the most intriguing characters in a film where the most intriguing character is supposed to be Solo, and you're kind of not really getting that. You get a lot of Woody Harrelson. You get a lot of all the extra characters that go along with this film. I will give the relationship between Chewie and Han. That was fun. And that's the thing. There are moments of this film that are really fun, really enjoyable, really good. I mentioned L3 earlier. Phoebe Waller-Bridge doing the voice for that. Very good, very fun. And again, another one of those characters, though, that is stealing all the spotlight from Solo in his movie. So, but again, there are very enjoyable things. You'll find enjoyment out of this film, whether or not you're going in excited and end up disappointed, or going in like me with low expectations and end up walking out with more excitement to this film. Even though there are a lot of flaws to it. I do question as well some of the lighting decisions in this movie, especially early on. I mean, this is like a bluish tint. It has a very emo feel, as I'm wearing an emo shirt, but it has that kind of feel to it, and I'm like, it's not really working with the story that you're telling us right now. This dark, grim, mundane lighting is... So that was just a personal thing to me, though. I don't know if that's something that'll bother you, but it really threw me off in the opening of the movie, where it was very bluish and yellowish and greenish, and it just did not work. For me personally, though, I don't, maybe that won't bother you, but for me personally, that was something that I noticed right away, and I couldn't stop focusing on it, so it took me out of the film a little bit. So again, there are things that work, there are things that don't work. Overall, I'd say if you're looking for a summer blockbuster movie, popcorn, fun little action adventure heist film, you'll enjoy this. You'll enjoy Solo. You'll have a good time at the theaters. If you're a diehard Star Wars fan and you're coming in expecting some in-depth deep dive into Solo prior to what we got to know when he popped up in the first Star Wars film, A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4, whatever you call it personally. I'm not going to get into the 20 different names it has right now. But if you're a big Star Wars fan and you're coming into this hoping for some really edgy, groundbreaking stuff, you're going to be very disappointed, because that is not what you're getting. You are getting a summertime blockbuster action heist thrill ride that's full of a lot of action sequences, but again, there's really not much consequence to any of these action sequences. It's just a lot of fun set pieces to play with for them. Either way, though, if you're looking for that summer movie, this is it. If you're a Star Wars fan and you're looking for a Star Wars movie and something to talk about, really dive into Han Solo, you might want to skip it. There's some fun things, the Kessel Run pops up, stuff like that. Things that, will make you go, oh! But at the end of the day, if you're a true Star Wars fan, you're going to probably be a little so-so on it. Either way, though, I do give this 3 out of 5 meatballs. Again, it exceeded my expectations with everything going into it. It does have some flaws to it, but you will have a good time if you're into that summer blockbuster popcorn flick, and you'll definitely enjoy it. So that's my review of Solo, A Star Wars Story. What did you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tweet me as well at wonderful_radio. There it is. And I'll be back, talk to you guys. Should be doing a video with spoiler stuff, because there is a lot that we can really dive into and talk about with this film. So there should be a spoiler one this weekend. Hopefully I don't get backed up on some other stuff. But we'll be back again as well. If that doesn't pop up this weekend, we will be back again next week for the second ever Mr. Wonderful midweek wrap up. You can go back and you can check out all the other videos on this YouTube page. Please feel free to subscribe, tweet, comment, and talk to you guys soon.